Hi, this is Vegan Groundhopper Extra Time. I just wanted to share my thoughts from my day trip today. I've been down to Bedfordshire. I went to see Luton Town versus Port Vale, my first trip to Kenilworth Road, and I just wanted to try and describe just how cool it is. I've said it a million times in the actual Groundhopper video, so I'll try not to repeat myself, but it's a really unusual and old-fashioned, old-school ground. And you go in there and you look from the outside and it's a bit hodgepodge and higgledy-piggledy. It's not uniform. It's got character. Each stand is different, and it's not just like the main stand and the stand behind the goal and the stand on the far side. There's also the stand that I was in. It was like the David Priest stand, named after a Luton Town folk hero from the 80s teams that were so successful. The vegan options for me were real good there too. I had choices. The people there were friendly and welcoming. It was the whole experience was really good, and it's quite remarkable, really, because if anything, I was predisposed to not like Luton Town. Going back to the early 80s, when the first time I saw my team relegated was when Manchester City lost against Luton Town in the 1982-83 season. Radiantish scored the winner about 10 minutes from time, and that sent Manchester City relegated. And I was in the stadium. I was at Main Road, and as a kid, that was a tough one to take. So Luton had great success, in years gone by, but they seem to, they seem to make it easy for football supporters, to find Luton dislikable. They had a plastic pitch, an artificial pitch that was not everybody's cup of tea, to say the least. They didn't like that. They went all corporate and commercial, and they removed one of the stands. After some hooliganism between Luton and Millwall, but they put in these corporate hospitality boxes. They were kind of ahead of the time in some respects, but to not have a stand of any description, just have one side, the long side, just made up of hospitality boxes, it didn't go down well with football folk. And also in terms of combating football hooliganism, which generally English football was blighted by in the 70s and 80s. What Luton decided to do was ban away supporters. So Luton, from years gone by, were not everyone's cup of tea. In recent times, though, they've fought back from points deductions. Obviously, there's still some lingering dislike towards the football authorities at Kenilworth Road, but they fought back, and they're promotional, sweeping through the divisions, getting to the Premier League was something quite incredible, really. But unfortunately, for Luton Town, they couldn't maintain that, and they are like a yo-yo. They go up and down, and back-to-back relegations mean that Luton are back in League One. There's never a dull moment. I was talking to a couple of guys sat next to me in the ground, and really friendly folks, great ambassadors for Luton. And they helped make me realise that Luton is a good place. Just a little side note, actually. The supporters at Kenilworth Road were so sporting. When a Port Vale player had to go off injured, he was helped from the pitch. And the David Priest stand and the main stand, all full of Luton supporters, it seemed like every single person applauded him off. Now, I commented to the guy next to me how remarkable that was. And he said, well, that's just normal, isn't it? You applaud an injured player off. And I said, well, I don't think it is. It doesn't happen that often. So I was one of the few neutrals in the ground, and I loved it today. Great atmosphere, great match, end-to-end stuff. Port Vale, who were bottom of the league, were really the better team. And Luton actually scored against the run of play to take the lead. But Port Vale were really good in the first half, and then they came out in the second half, and they were even better. And I thought Luton would improve in the second half. And eventually they did, after they made some substitutions. So it was quite a grand finale. Luton throwing the kitchen sink at Port Vale, who were by that time down to 10 men because they'd used their subs and they'd got a further injury. So it was really quite a lift to the whole ground. The atmosphere was incredible when the board went up for 8 minutes of added on time. Like inside the I'll say the word again, quirky. Inside the quirky ground, you could see that hope that football supporters have. You could see it across the whole of the Kenilworth Road ground. It didn't end in a victory for either team, and probably on balance, he could make a case that it was a fair result. Although if it was a boxing match, probably Port Vale would have won on points. But the experience was good. There's always something interesting in the ground. There's flags and there's signage and there's the fact that in the front of the main stand, I think it probably used to be a standing paddock area. The seat rows that are there, the seats don't have any backs to them. And on the website, when you're considering ordering tickets, it does warn you that you're not covered by a roof. And I just thought it was good to find something really traditional and not like a copy and paste, football stadium. You go to the new generation of football stadiums and they are boring. You could be like, if it wasn't for the different coloured seats, you wouldn't know the difference between Stoke, Leicester, Coventry, Colchester, etc., etc. And to be honest, I'm a bit worried because that's the future that Luton Town have. They're moving from the Kenilworth Road ground and they're going to somewhere which I fear is going to be a characterless, soulless entity. But one of my recent encounters with Luton Town was away at a pre-season friendly where they were in Dundee. They played Dundee United. And so I'd already been to Dens Park to see Dundee. I was at Tannadice to see the stadium at Dundee United. I was really excited. And so when I was talking to the Luton supporters there, they'd just been relegated from the Premier League, and they were quite confident that they would bounce straight back. Well, as I mentioned, unfortunately for them, it was another relegation that followed from that pre-season friendly. Just as a side note, that pre-season friendly really confused me because Dundee United took the opportunity that day to launch their new away kit, which is white shirts, tangerine shorts, and white socks, whilst Luton were playing in their orange with black shorts and orange socks. And it took me till half time to really remember which team was which, because you go to Tannadice and you expected the orange team to be Dundee United. But anyway, back to Kenilworth Road today. The friendly folk, the chatty football conversations that was being had, the unusual characterful ground, the options for vegans too, which was really cool, I thought. It was a really positive day. So I would recommend if you get down to Kenilworth Road to watch some football with a real old school type of atmosphere there, please take that opportunity because it's a really good little stadium, and get there while you can, because not too long from now they're going to be moving to one of those new build stadiums.